Hey everyone, and welcome back to AGT Time. Cody Patterson here, along with AGT Commenter, and we also have special guest Stephen Anderson. Welcome, Stephen. How you doing?
I'm great. How are you guys?
I'm doing well. Yeah.
Doing well, doing well. Appreciate you coming on. I know Cody, this was Cody's kind of, hey, should we bring him on? He knows probably some more TV stuff than we do. Maybe for the people listening, kind of give your background of, kind of what you do, your whole career path and kind of what you're up to these days.
All right. Well, first of all, guys, thank you for having me on the show. I definitely appreciate it. For me, what I do is well, it's probably easier to what I don't do, but I mean, I work in covering sports in Texas. I cover politics and things like that for another website. But of course, for this purpose of why I'm on here, I cover a TV show. So that kind of ranges from America's Got Talent here in America to currently what I'm currently covering on Big Brother Australia in Australia. So I'm up at 4 a.m. tweeting, covering the show, things like that for people here, but also in Australia who are going to be watching it. So that's great. And then things like that. So, I mean, I cover everything from Big Brother Canada, Big Brother US, a lot of shows in different countries. So I've seen America's Got Talent, obviously, since the show started way back in season 1, way back when I was just a little child. And now we're seeing that show branch out. I cover it in the UK for Britain's Got Talent, where Simon's also a judge and creator over there. I'm also going to be covering Australia's Got Talent, which is returning to Channel 7 in Australia later this year. Or I believe it's either this year or next year. It's returning very soon. So that's also exciting. They put out their audition video for them last night. So that's kind of cool. But yes, I cover a variety of TV shows. I get because I work with a Reality Box UK, which is a entertainment website in the UK covering not just UK news, but like I said, news around the globe. I get press releases from NBC, ABC, all the major stations here in the US, as well as overseas, like what shows are coming up and all that stuff. So whenever commentary, you were asking me like about the judges last year, I think, yeah,
Mhm.
we'll see what happens with that. But I would know in advance before they release it of who the judges are. So whenever we were getting to that time of, we're not hearing any judge rumors, it was pretty obvious that those four are going to be coming back. So so that's basically a little in a nutshell what I do. And I'm sure if you guys have any questions, feel free to ask. And as we go on, yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, you're watching TV just all the time, like all the time. Like how 24-hour day is it? How
Yes.
many hours per day are you watching and tweeting about television,
I don't
whether
sleep.
it's
I'm just kidding.
sports on TV or whatever it is? How much? I mean, that sounds like a lot of television.
It is, but also like, I mean, it is on a, I mean, again, guys, you gotta remember also sports on the side,
Mhm.
politics on the side. So I'm getting my phone doesn't leave my hand a majority of the time. I have my iPad right here, so I
Okay.
have that also on the side here to where I'm constantly looking at different screens all day. Is it hectic? Of course it is, but I mean, as on average, I'm probably watching. I'm not gonna say I watch every show live. I will say that because it's impossible. But I
Mhm.
mean, I will watch things on delay. If Big Brother and US and AGT are airing at the same time, I choose AGT over Big Brother because, well, that's a whole other story. I'm not even gonna get into
Yeah.
that. But I mean, like, so I mean, things like that. So I will watch things on catch up. So it's a good amount, especially right now since I mean I'm getting paid to do this. I mean, what better way to spend your time than to do that? But I mean things like that. So I mean it's a good amount of time and it's also very fun. Um, I've been hearing people say like, oh, you have to be unbiased, which is true, but that's why my social medias are very unbiased. I'm very unbiased towards acts. I'm going to say what I'm going to say about the acts. If I feel
Mhm.
this way towards them, there's a good chance that you may feel the same way. You may not feel the same way. That's perfectly fine. But I mean, I'm always very careful on how I address things. So yeah.
Cody, you got something?
Yeah, I was just gonna just kind of comment on the Big Brother thing because
Yeah.
I'm a fan of Big Brother as well. And
Yes.
Wednesday night when they've got just the regular old episode, or maybe they're doing the Power of Veto. Do you watch
Yeah.
that, or do you watch a live results show? Obviously, you're going to watch a live results show, and you can watch the other thing
Yeah,
on tape delay.
exactly. And
So
particularly because I mean, I get the feeds and I know already what happens anyway. So
yeah,
I mean,
right.
like, yeah, so I already know what's going to happen. So this guy I didn't really like wins. Well, I don't really want to watch that. So I was watching on delay and fast forward through his bits. I mean, there's like a whole thing going on there. So yeah, I do watch the results because I mean, it's the results. But I mean, obviously, you want to know who makes it through and all that. And for my own purposes of note taking, Terry announced this act first, and then whatever, these people are in the Duncan save or whatever. Like, I want to make sure I get all that accurate and correct and things like that. So, as far as Big Brother goes, though, Cody, I would recommend Big Brother Australia. It is very much like Big Brother US, give or take a few accents and things like that. But it's a pretty good show.
Okay, great. Yeah.
So you said you've been watching AGT since season 1.
Yep.
Cody watched season 1 through 7, and then 11 through now will be 16. He took a little gap there. I'm a little younger, so I'm more new to it. Season 11 was really my first season where I watched start to finish.
Yeah.
But you're going into 16th season. What are some notable things for you in terms of the progression of this show that when you look back on, you're like, wow, I missed this. I wish they still did this. I'm glad they got rid of this. Like, kind of just the general AGT of it all. How has this show progressed in your life?
Oh, guys, I mean, if we were talking about that, we'd be here for like 5 or 6 hours, right? I mean, I mean, just the little things. I mean, it's the little things. I mean, for example, I remember Jackie Evancho's performance whenever she first came on. First, she blew everybody away. That was my birthday. Like, that episode aired on my birthday. So I still remember that was really cool to see that. I mean, to this day, I mean, to see her being successful to this day is amazing. But I mean, how the show has changed. I mean, you guys know this. You had Regis Philbin hosting season 1. You had Piers Morgan, Brandy, and David Hasselhoff, or the Hoff, as they call him, as your 3 main judges. And the thing is, you had Regis walk into the studio, and there was already an audience there. Acts were ready to go. He calls them out, and they come out from the audience onto the stage.
Price is Right style.
Yeah, it's very Price is Right style. That's right.
Yes, and remember Bobby Badfingers? I can't do it because
Yes.
I'm talented like that. But I mean, things like that. But also, I've noticed ever since season 3, I think, I think that's when they brought Sharon on. I'm pretty sure either season 2 or season 3 is when they brought Sharon on.
Season 2 is when they brought Sharon on. Yeah,
okay,
we just did a rewatch of season 1 and 2.
Okay,
yeah.
So season 2 when they brought Sharon on, she was on for a while, and I mean, Sharon is one of those judges. You love her, you hate her. That's perfectly fine, but she's going to give it to you how she sees it. And as someone who has watched her on X Factor UK, she does the exact same thing there. But one thing I will notice is the judging panel obviously has changed over the past 16 seasons. You went from 3 judges to 4 judges.
And they bring in the guest judge during.
Bring in the guest judge, and then obviously they have judges at the judge cuts. That obviously has changed as well. They went from Vegas to Hollywood. I mean, a bunch of things has changed over the past 16 years. What I will say, and it kind of irks me to this day, I'm interested if you guys feel the same way.
Okay.
Talking nowadays, I will say since Simon came back to the show, maybe even before that, I think it was probably when Howard was on the panel, they panned to the audience way too much when they're showing the acts on stage. And don't get me wrong, I love audience reactions. I mean, you're going to hear their reaction regardless of what it is, good or bad. But I'm there to watch the actual act perform. I don't want to see like 20 seconds of the act and like 80 seconds or 60 seconds of the audience. I don't want to see that. So I mean, like, that's the one thing that really irks me to this day. So in a way, I'm kind of happy that there was no audience for the last portion of judge or audition rounds last year going into judge cuts. There was no audience for that, and I was happy with that. Going into this season, because we're talking about season 16, I am happy that there is no audience for auditions. And spoiler alert, I'm not going to spoil anything for you guys, but there is no audience. I don't think that's a spoiler. There is no audience for the audition rounds because of COVID and everything like that. So if they were holding auditions right now in this moment, there probably would be an audience. But I'm interested to see how they're going to work this, because for The Masked Singer, another show I cover, which finale tomorrow, by the way.
The Cannon show.
Yeah, we can talk about that too if you guys want. There was no audience film because of COVID. So if you guys notice when Nick is there with the Men in Black, it's just him and the Men in Black. There's no audience. Normally he would be in the audience. What they did is they digitally put in the audience to make it look like there was audience when they're performing. When there was just a blank empty studio, but Nick and the judges. So what I'm wondering is will AGT and Simon do the same thing this time whenever you see a far shot of them performing? Is it going to be just an empty auditorium like we saw last year, or is there going to be audience? Because if you look at the promos, you see audience in those promos. And there was no audience in audition, at least for the first I'm pretty sure the good majority of auditions there was no audience. There may be a couple of audience members as the later part when COVID obviously died down in California, but for the majority of it, there is no audience. So going way back to your first question, that's the one thing that kind of irked me is seeing that whole thing of the audience panning back and forth, but seeing the judge panel kind of progress from what it was in season 1 with 3 going to 4, seeing the kind of constantly switch. I mean, I think it's been good for the show. Have all the judges been great? No, but I mean, yeah. So that's what I think.
Yeah, I think on the point of panning to the crowd during a performance, I think at the live shows it's a real problem. If you're going to do it at the live shows, because you're going to miss something. I think in auditions they can cut it enough where if they're going to cut to it, a singer, it doesn't really matter because you're just listening anyways. And then if it's, say it's a magician or whatever, they can do it where they just we're not going to miss anything that they didn't want us to see anyways. So I get what you're saying. I like to see the judges' reactions more than I like to see the audience's reactions. Because, okay, that leads me to this. You went to an audition last year, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes.
And from what Cody, have you been to an audition episode as well?
I have not, but I was actually in California for, I think the season, what are we in, 16? I think the season 12 or maybe the season 12 finale. I was in LA and I tried to get tickets to the finale and was not successful.
Okay. So at that audition, everything I've heard is they really push the audience to do one or the other, either cheer really loud or give DX and boo. I mean, is it like obvious that they're trying to push you to make noise and stuff?
Well, I will say this. I'll correct you. It wasn't last year. It was the year before that, because obviously with COVID and everything like that. But to answer your question, yes and no. I mean, they want you to cheer regardless. If you like the act, obviously stand up and cheer. If you don't like the act, you're going to boo them. I mean, that's just a natural reaction. But I think that there are some acts that they tell you to stand up for. Like, if you guys remember, and I know commentary, you liked Danilia last year. And
she's on my list of things to talk about.
We can talk about her in a second. I'll just touch on her real fast.
I'm just going to sit back and let you guys hash that out.
I will talk to you about it real quickly. I'll touch on it real fast, which is this. When she performed her audition, if you noticed, the entire crowd got up at the exact same time. Mm-hmm. That part was obviously staged. Sure. That part was obviously told. I mean, considering, come on, let's be real. You don't think the producers knew she was on World's Best or compete? Of course they did.
I mean, what do you, here's a good question for you on that what's the percentage of acts we see at auditions were ones that were plucked in terms of are they actually going and finding talent? I know Tom Connor, Cody, when we talked to him, had said basically got asked to come because they were low on comedians as the auditions went on, and I don't know what it was. Somebody at a nightclub said, hey, or a comedy club said, hey, we need more comedians. Can you come and audition? That's why he did it. I mean,
and he negotiated to go straight to the auditions without having to go through the producers. Yeah,
like he didn't want to have to do that whole. How do you know how often are they actually seeking it out, or is it mostly organic entries?
See, this is the thing. A lot of these, and remember, we're in an age of social media now. So you asked me how the show has evolved. The show has evolved to where season 1 there really wasn't Twitter or Instagram or YouTube. It was around, but it wasn't as big as it is today, obviously. Those influencers or whatever. So, there's a lot of things that has changed over the years. But to answer your question, I think they knew Danilia. I'm just getting to her. They knew who she was. They know her. Obviously, they looked her up. It's not that hard. Anyone with a computer can look her up. Excuse me. And so I think that they brought her on the condition of you're not going to win, but just come on to compete. Maybe you'll find someone in America that will see you, maybe discover you, kind of thing. Like, obviously, because knowing she won in her own country. She won in her own country. So the spoiler alert for you who you don't know, she won in her own country a competition. She didn't win World's Best, but she went pretty far in World's Best.
She got second, if I'm not.
I think second or third,
something like that. Yeah.
So she went really far. She made it to the finale of AGT. So I think in those conditions, she's probably, I don't know this, so don't sit here. Oh, Stephen said this. I don't know.
Cody, write this down so we get a headline grab here.
I was going to assume that it's in the contract to where if they're either well known in their country, they're probably not going to win. For example, Bad Salsa. I think it was last year. Were they on last year? Again,
yes, it was last year. Yep, last year.
Watch so much AGT, I don't even know. But I mean, so they performed in the UK. They were on Britain's Got Talent Champions. They were on. They won in their own country, India. They came here to compete for the first time. So I mean, obviously they didn't win either. So I mean, it's still they recruit acts. Yes, they recruit acts. I mean, it's hard to say they don't. I mean, they do recruit acts. I can't remember the Christina Ray. She was not. I don't think she was recruited, but I mean, I do believe she does have some music out already, like on Spotify or something, like independent. Yeah. So I mean, they brought her on. Obviously, got her on the show. She performed with One Republic at the finale. So I mean, things like that. So I mean, they do recruit acts. I'm not gonna sit here and say, "Oh, AGT is fake. They're recruiting all these." No. But they will.
They're still an entertainment show in the end. They're still an
It is an
entertainment show.
entertainment show. Yes, it is an
You need to
entertainment
make
show.
sure you have some good acts to crutch the rest of them if things go haywire.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Like Brandon Lee, the winner, he was not recruited, but I mean, was it in my eyes, he was a very worthy winner. Something we've never seen before in 15 seasons of the show. So I mean, he was not recruited. But I think the recruited acts are not there to win. They're just there to boost the ratings. They're there to make sure a successful act goes through versus some of these really bad acts that are not going to have a chance in hell of getting to Vegas or even doing anything. Yeah.
Well, Shinlim kind of ruined that because he was clearly a recruited act and he won every time. He was just going to win no matter what. He won champions. He won that. So he's my number one act all time and my favorite. So that's why I want to rewind a little bit to the come on, you're not going to win. Is that a not going to win because we know you're not going to be the best, or because we don't want you to and we're not actually going to let it happen?
I think it's more the latter. I mean, I would just say this.
Well, let me ask a part C. Or America doesn't know enough about you and won't vote for you.
Why aren't they winning? I guess is the question.
Yeah.
Say
Danelia, I thought was good enough to win, and America vehemently disagreed with me.
You cut out. Say that last part again.
I said Danelia I thought was good enough to win. America vehemently disagreed. Why you said that they're not going to win? Why? What is the reason behind that?
Well, again, this is just my theory. I'm not saying I know this for sure, but I mean, I'm just thinking because they're already established themselves in their own country. Like I said, Danelia won her. I think it was The Voice Ukraine. I'm pretty sure that's what it was. She won
one of the voices. Yeah,
one of the voices over there. She won. She actually won the whole thing. So she got a record deal or whatever their prize is over there. And that's what she got. She has music on YouTube. I mean, I will just say this, and I know you agree with me, commentator, that of all the child singers I've seen on AGT over the years, I think she is probably the best child singer I've ever seen. Maybe even adult singer. Maybe she might rank above them. Maybe not above Brian Justin Crumb, but I mean of adult singers. Of a child singers, she is probably the best child singer I've ever heard.
I mean, if you want to count Angelina Jordan from Champions, you could sneak her in as maybe. I still prefer Danelia's style.
I honestly don't think Angelina was that good. I don't know, not to sort of.
I really enjoyed her. I enjoyed her audition on that. I thought the Yellow Brick Road one was, or whatever that.
I found that very boring, honestly.
Yeah, that one wasn't as good. But yeah, no, you're right. She. Okay, my question then is. I'm looking at
while you're let me just add one thing while I have it in my head, which is also, and I'm not saying this to sound, I don't mean this to sound bad, but I will say this: there are some people out there who will not vote for the act if they're not from America.
Right.
And I mean, is that everybody? Of course not. That's not everybody. But there are people out there who will say, "Oh, this America's Got Talent. It's not Spain or whatever." So they're not going to vote for the act that's not American. I mean, we have no American judges on the panel, so I mean, I don't see the big deal about it. I mean, America is a place where anybody can come from any country and make it in America. I don't think
isn't every other Got Talent open to every country too?
Yeah, but the
Americans
majority
can go do BGT.
Say again.
Americans can go and be on Britain's Got Talent if I'm not mistaken.
They actually have. There has been acts in America that have gone on Britain's Got Talent, and there have been acts in America that have gone to Australia's Got Talent. And do they win? No, but you're allowed to audition. You can make it as far as you're going to make it, and that's it. And I mean, like I said, I don't think it's an issue to where, I see every season, guys. Oh, the judges are not American. So what? I mean, America has fallen in love with these 4 judges. Sophia obviously was new last season, but people knew her from Modern Family. And she really struck a chord with America. America fell in love with her more than they already did. And she's obviously back for a second season. Is there anything wrong with that? No. I mean, she's making her money. She's doing her job. It is what it is.
Yeah. The one I want to talk about then of I'm going to stay on this whole recruited thing, and maybe we're on it a little long, maybe the last one, is Laura Breton. I think she's an interesting case study in this because she won Romania's Got Talent the same year she went on America's Got Talent and made it to the finals. She's an interesting one of, I mean, that's almost so on the nose of like, oh, she just won Romania's Got Talent and then she's literally auditioning for America's Got Talent in the same year. That seems like really specific that that seems like, hey, you won, come over here and be on this one. Exactly. Is that something that makes sense?
Yeah, exactly. 100% right. The name escapes me right now. Maybe you guys can help me out. Her along with that child that did like the scary one whenever Mel B was still a judge.
Oh, yeah, Rihanna.
Yeah. Yes, Sacred Rihanna or something like that.
Yeah.
There you go, Cody.
Well, the only reason I know that is because I think I just saw a tweet about that, I think yesterday.
Okay.
So
I'll give you guys an example. She won in her country as well. So she won her country. She came back and did Britain's Got Talent Champions. She auditioned for Britain's Got Talent. Obviously, she came here to audition for ours. And I think, pretty sure she won. And she won her in her country. She auditioned the exact same year or a year later, whenever she won. So I mean, it's the same kind of scenario. Yes, you're recruited. Okay, well, this is going to be interesting to watch. Was it interesting to me? No, because I've already seen her act already overseas. But to people like you guys who maybe don't watch the other versions, maybe it was interesting to you guys, and that's totally fair because that's the reaction the producers are looking for. They want to see that. Oh my gosh, that was amazing, or that was so hot. They do that. But when you watch it overseas and you've seen and it also, they repeat the exact same acts that they do over there here. So I've seen the same acts multiple times, and it gets kind of boring after watching it about 5 or 6 times. But I mean, so I mean, but that's the thing. The majority of people are not expecting Americans to watch other countries' versions of the show. So that's why they bring those other people from other countries to audition, because for a lot of Americans, those typical everyday people, that's the first time they're seeing them. And it'll be a hit and a miss regardless of what they do. So yes, they're recruited. And again, I think they're recruited just to get the ratings up, just to make sure good acts get through, but not ultimately not to win.
Okay, so I think we can move on from that. The last thing I'll add. So basically from what I'm going to take from that is Daniela actually won. They just weren't going to let her. And so she gracefully, graciously took 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10.
This was a scenario and where that was that, let's say Danelia was from Idaho or California, I think she would have won. I really 100% believe she would have won. But because Brandon was an act that we've never seen before. I've never seen. But I will say this: when he came out, I thought he was gonna sing or something because he came out with a microphone. I was like, oh great, another singer. I was like Simon, another singer, awesome.
Yeah.
Well, he started speaking. I was like, holy crap, this guy's actually really, really good. And then obviously how he gave him the golden buzzer. His poetry or his spoken word got so much better as every audition went on, every round. And I think that round he did about, I think it was Black Lives Matter, really struck a chord with people. And I think that's ultimately what really put him up in people's minds. And then obviously he delivered the winning performance. I will say this, might be a little controversial, but I will say this, is I think he should have been the one to deliver the poetry at Joe Biden's inauguration back in January. That would have been really cool. I mean, the way he did, not saying that the girl who did it was bad, because she wasn't, but I mean, I will say that the way he delivers it with such passion and feeling, that's what made me like, oh, this guy's special. Like this guy's different, really different. And I mean, they put him in the promo for the season. So I mean, that tells you all you need to know right there. And I think that's the first time they put the winner in the promo in a long time.
Yeah. I mean, it makes sense.
Well, they also put a guy in the promo that didn't even go to judge cuts, but was able to go to the semifinals. So
Cody has a real gripe with what was his name? Cody, did you I forget his name's escaping me too.
Yeah,
but the young football kicker / singer that just sort of weaseled his way to the live shows. By an act of God. What was it?
Was it last year?
Yeah, last year.
What was his name again?
I know the guy that. Yeah,
Yeah,
still
he
want to
just
watch the guy
out of
live show.
nowhere by an act of God was in the live shows. Okay, I think we're good on that. Danelia technically won. Good to know. Okay, I do want to know. It's probably gonna be hard to pick, but if you could narrow it down, even if it's to maybe 3 or 5 favorite acts in the history of the show, who would
Oh
that be?
gosh. You know, you might want to go to your next question. That's going to take me a while to think about that one.
We should
You
have
mean
prepped
you
him a
don't
little
have
bit,
all
Cody.
the acts? You mean you don't have all the acts ranked like Commenter
I
does?
don't.
Yeah, you don't have a leaderboard on your Google Drive like me?
I will
No.
say, I'll talk recent.
Okay.
I will say, I'm going to go category. I'll say Preacher Lawson is probably one of my favorite comedians to ever be on AGT. You know, again, there's people who are going to find him funny, there's who are not going to find him funny. That's perfectly fine.
Right.
But just the way he delivers it, he just has this way about him that is so funny. I saw him live when he came.
I saw him live.
Yeah,
Yep.
when he came up to my
He's
hometown.
he's like he's a little bit of a physical comedian,
Yes.
as much as he like a lot of comedians we see on this show are just stand and talk, which isn't bad. Some of them are very funny, but he was very good at adding sort of a physical comedy without actually. Usually, physical comedy involves a second person to run into you but he did a good job of being able to use his body.
And I will say this, and Cody, I don't know if you met him or not, but I did get a chance to meet him, talk to him for a little bit. He is one of the nicest guys. Like the way you see him on the show is exactly who he is outside of the show. He is one of the nicest, most humble guys. I asked him for a picture. He took a picture with me. You know, just a very grateful guy. And I mean, he's very funny also. I mean, his sets in live are the exact same. Maybe a little bit different material, but I mean, they're most of the same kind of person he was on the show is who he is. He also, for spoiler, if you guys don't know this, he also did perform on Britain's Got Talent Champions. He made it to the finale of Britain's Got Talent Champions as well. So, I mean, the UK also fell in love with him too. So he's one of the nicest guys. As far as singers, obviously I talked about this already. Danelia, one of my favorite child singers in a long time. And I'm a little on the singing category that there's a little bit of a gray area for me because I mean I'm a very soulful person. So I mean, I talked about before the show, before it's recording, Landau Eugene Murphy Jr. While he was not my favorite winner, he had a very nice voice. I will say so. He had a very nice voice whenever he was on there. So yeah, Danger Acts. I'm a sucker for Danger Acts. Professor Splash, one of my favorite Danger Acts. Jumping into what I think it was a kiddie pool at one point, like, oh, you're gonna hurt yourself, bro. But okay, you do you. Speaking of Danger Acts, I don't know if you guys know this, but I'm assuming you guys do. Simon is bringing another spinoff to NBC. A Danger version. I think it's called AGT Extreme. It's going to be airing later this year.
And I want to talk about that here in a little bit.
Yeah, we'll talk about that.
Yeah.
So
we'll tease that.
We'll tease that in a minute. But you know, that's obviously going to replace AGT Champions, which again we'll talk about also in a minute. But the Danger Acts, some of my favorites. I don't remember their name, and you guys will have to help me out with this. But the guy that fired, or his wife or girlfriend fired a bow and arrow, hit him right in the neck there on live TV.
Ryan and yes.
Ryan Stock was his name?
Yes. Ryan Stock.
It's one of my favorite clips in the history of America's Got Talent.
And we talk about it. We talk about it all the time on the podcast.
The best part of the whole clip
right there. One of my favorites. Like, okay, you're going to be an idiot on national TV. You go for it. I mean, this is
the best part of the whole clip is the music that's playing in the background because it's like joke, like do style,
like circus music.
When I mean it's a Danger Act, so it should really be like the dum 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 type stuff. And so he's like writhing in pain, and it's like this circus music playing, and the judges are like, "Is this a joke?" It was. It's one of
the best part is if Piers Morgan was still on the panel, which miss you, Pierce, if you're listening, which I doubt he is, but I mean, I will say this: he would probably say, you know, you almost died on live TV. I'm not going to try the British accent, but he said, you almost died on live TV. That would have boosted our ratings. Like, I mean, make a joke out of it. But for real, the show was very high rated at that point when that season. And it still is high rated to this day, obviously, but not as high. But anyway, we'll get to that too. But I mean, the next episode, the next week, the ratings are even higher because a guy just got shot in the neck or in the throat on live TV.
I wonder if it's going to stick him this time.
Yeah.
And it bounced off last time.
I mean, and here's the thing we talked about before. Like, obviously, when they're cutting to the audience stuff, you know that if there's a danger act, which I've seen previews for the acts coming up, I won't spoil anything, but there is a danger act that's coming up that is very dangerous. Like, obviously, danger act obviously is going to be dangerous, but probably one of the most dangerous I think we're going to see in 16 seasons of America's Got Talent. With that being said, you know they're not going to die in the audition stage. They're not going to show that. When you get to the live show rounds, it's free game. If they die on stage, well,
well, you do have that. You do have that. What 7-second delay?
7-second
they put in
delay,
there. Yeah.
So, exactly.
Right.
Exactly.
Yeah. Okay. Favorite? What is? So you say you're a sucker for the danger acts. What's another category that you know are a big sucker for? Obviously, singers is not.
I'm a
your
big
go-to.
magic guy.
Okay,
I love
so
magic.
who's the best magician?
Oh goodness. Okay.
There's a correct answer.
Yes. Who's the
you
correct
like it.
answer?
And I think it's Max Major, isn't it?
No, it's not. He's a
Definitely.
fraud.
Okay.
Yeah.
He's a fraud. He blocks me
He
on
was
Twitter.
robbed, guys. Let's be real. Okay. We're
Correct
talking.
answer, Shin Lim.
Yes. Yes.
Okay.
100%. Yes.
But
Now,
there's also he's a straight close-up card magician.
Yes.
And then there's kind of the mentalists, and then sort of the not quite mentalists technically, but magicians that are doing mentalism within it, like Blake Voigt. John Dornbos was the same type of way, where he did card magic, but he also did sort of the predictions in a bottle type stuff too. What are some of your favorite? Maybe I just listed your favorite magicians, but what are some of your favorites?
Well, you did, but I'll get more into that. So you talk about the mentalist. I'll just touch on that right off the bat. No disrespect, no offense to anyone who's watching, listening. No offense to you guys if these are your favorites. I cannot stand mentalists.
Even O's?
Sorry?
Even O's Perlman? We just did an O's Perlman rewatch where we finished. Yes. Me and Cody ended up ranking him as the 6th best act of all time.
Now, I'm not saying they're not good. I'm
Okay.
just saying I personally don't like them because it's obvious. There is no such thing as a mind reader. If there was,
right.
We could predict, the war that's going to be happening in 2 months from now or whatever. Like there is no such thing as there's a trick to it. Obviously, there's a trick to it. But one thing I don't like is when they bring the judges up and how it's like, oh my gosh, like we didn't know that was going to happen. You knew that was going to happen. Come on. I mean,
so you think they're in on it?
Exactly. And
you think they're in on it, really?
Is that off a hunch or off of any sort of evidence whatsoever? I'm all in on a good conspiracy theory.
I will be surprised. Okay, there's a very good chance. Okay, I'll even get into this a little bit. Last week on The Masked Singer, Jenny McCarthy's husband was on Masked as one of the singers. You're telling me she didn't know her own husband's voice? Come on, she knew her husband was there. Right. So there's that. But I mean, going back to AGT, I mean, I do believe this. Now, I'm not going to say all the judges are in on it, but I believe there's a little bit of stuff going on there. Okay. At least when we get to the audition rounds. Now when we get to the live shows and they pull a guy, Joe from way up in the upper deck, come on down. No, that's for real. But I mean, there are certain points where, I believe the judges are in on it, and it's kind of obvious and kind of boring to me at least. But I will say Shin Lim, probably the best winner. Magician, I'll use category, magician, the best magician on AGT ever. I will say my personal favorite, other than Shin, would be John Dornbos. Guy is just the charisma that he has around him. He just genuinely seems like a genuinely nice guy. I would love to meet him one day. Sure. Just the way he carries himself, the way he does the acts, like I believe he brought the judges up at one point, and there was a big map of the U.S. He had to throw footballs at it, and and that was a fun one. And the fact that they could land anywhere on that map, and it just happened to be, that was really cool. So I was like, okay, that was awesome. So yeah.
Okay. So we love John as well. Me and Cody did a season 11 finale rewatch. So his season's finals. And there's a grand conspiracy. It's pretty much on par with the JFK assassination and Area 51 in terms of grand conspiracy theories of, did he purposely tank his final performance? I don't know if you recall this.
Yeah, remind me.
So it was Grace Vanderwall's season, obviously. He kind of came out and just did pretty basic card tricks, and then just said some really, had a nice speech and did some inspirational type speaking. Have you heard anything about, have you ever heard about that conspiracy theory that John purposely tanked. And I'll finish it with the point behind it being he already had a successful football career. He already had money. He didn't need the $1 million. He was already famous. He didn't need to win and have a 3-day show in Vegas, especially since he was playing football at the time anyways. And so he purposely didn't win or took himself basically out of the running with that performance. Does that sound plausible to you?
Well, if I do remember correctly, he did tell the story. And fun fact, I actually just rewatched his Judge Cut performance when Neil gave him the golden buzzer.
Mhm.
Still one of my favorite Judge Cut performance from a magician in a long time. He did say, obviously, his father murdered his mother whenever we saw that package he did. But we also saw that he had retired from the NFL because of a heart condition. So at the time, so I mean, obviously, I believe him and his wife just had a baby, if I'm not mistaken. So
they did.
Yeah, so good for them. But I mean, so I don't think football would have played a part in it at that point. What I will say is, I think I'm not gonna say he tanked it, but I don't think he was trying as hard. Because one thing I will say is, someone who does cover sports, if you're an athlete, you have that competitive mentality. You're not going to on purpose lose. But I will say, I don't think he put his best stuff at the end. I will say that.
Right. Yeah. So I think he was still playing at that point. The hard thing happened a couple years later.
Playing. Yeah.
He was still playing. Okay. But I think the competitive point was a point I made when me and Cody kind of talked about it on a different episode. I think the point I made to Cody about it was he did mostly the major part of that performance was the inspirational speaking and showing his ability to do that. And the point I made to Cody was, it seems like maybe he was setting up himself for later, of showing everybody what his quiver, how deep his quiver was, more than just magic, so he could get booked for gigs outside of just going up and doing card tricks. But yeah, it certainly is one of the great conspiracy theories of our generation, without a doubt. But no, we both love John. Cody, I know you do as well. So
yes,
for sure.
Now I gotta say, you probably are aware of this by now, commenter, that I'm doing a binge of season 10. Like all of season 10. I'm trying to binge it. And then audition.
You watched Ellis Perlman and you were enthralled.
I'm hooked. I'm hooked now. Yeah. So now I got to go back and watch the whole thing. But there was a hypnotist in auditions of season 10 that made Howie like germ free. I mean, shake hands and whatnot. And I think I've watched that clip 3 or 4 times because I was just blown away by. I think the most surprising thing was that Howie actually shook hands with other people, and that the hypnosis seems so real that they couldn't even show it on TV, and they asked people to leave. So at that point, you make it think, okay, something real is happening here, and I don't know what's going to happen with this guy. I don't know what he does, but I hope to see more of him. But anyway, it kind of goes along with the it's a little bit of the mentalist, a little bit of the magician of what this guy can do. So I was just putting that out there. Yeah.
Sure. So you've watched, like we said, every season. Is there a season that you look back and go, that was the best? And it's just kind of a 2-parter. 1, which one? And then 2, why is it season 11?
I thought we were going to say season 15. I'm just kidding. No, but no, I will say, yeah, season 11 was probably the best season in a very long time. And probably, I don't like saying this, but the quality has gone down a little bit, I will say.
Yes. Yeah, it has.
You are seeing the same acts year after year. You're going to have the singer. You're going to have the magician. You're going to have the girl who broke up with her boyfriend, and now she's coming to sing a heartfelt song, and they're going to stand up and get the golden buzzer. So yeah, right. You know what's going to happen.
Yeah, and commenters waiting on the choir for this year.
Yeah, well, Terry's choir that he picks.
Yes.
He does not pick a choir this year. He does not pick a choir.
If I was a choir, I'd be like, we're auditioning. I don't care if it's good, bad, or we are auditioning, guys, because there's a chance we could take second for no reason. So yeah, no, the choir. I'm very intrigued to see what kind of choir. They probably had the most choirs by tenfold audition this year after the last 2 seasons.
Well, I will say this: the Detroit City Youth Choir.
They were bad.
Excuse me. The Detroit City Youth Choir. I don't know if you guys looked at Reddit at the time, But it's like, whoa, what are they singing? Oh, they're singing "Can't Hold Us." What are they singing next? Oh, they're singing "Can't Hold Us." Like, that's the only song they knew how to sing. So,
They were terrible.
they were.
I
will say this:
was so mad that night.
The only reason why Terry gave him the golden buzzer, because Terry's from Detroit. They're from Detroit. Obviously,
yeah, I
get that. I completely.
Yeah, I don't discount the golden buzzer. I discount that they took second place. I don't understand.
Oh, that was a travesty.
Yeah, it was. It was. I mean, it was Niemiller then was third. The Unbeatable was fourth, and
The Unbeatable should have been
five. And it was like, there's no way that group's better than any of those three.
No, the Unbeatable should have been second place at least, by far.
Yeah, me and Cody talked about kind of the arc of the show of when it comes to how good it was in terms of talent. It kind of, it's like a bell. It's coming back down now. Because you had that season 10 was really good. You had Paul Zerden, Oz Perlman. Season 11 was huge. Yeah, well, Cody's getting there.
I'm figuring.
Season 11,
season 11 was huge.
Yeah, season 11 was huge. You had Grace, who was a viral superstar, whether you liked her or not. Yeah, and then and you had Dornbos and all them in there, and then it was Darcy Lynn, Shin Lim back to back. I mean, it was 10, 11, 12, 13 was kind of what was clearly the peak, and we're on our way back down.
See, I feel this season's going to be different, and I will say this because obviously last year was hell for the majority of America, regardless of whatever happens. We lived through hell, locked up and quarantined, everything, COVID, everything that brought that. I will say I feel like this year is going to be a little bit different because traveling, I don't think you're going to see as many international acts this year because of COVID and traveling and things like that. Now, if there was a regular season, there was no COVID, yeah, you would definitely see more of the same. But I think you're going to see more homegrown. Now, I'm not saying you're not going to have any international acts at all because there are people from other countries who live in America now. Like, that is just a fact. So I'm sure you're going to have the typical, guy, a British guy living in America now, things like that. But I think this season is going to be top, probably the last two seasons because of, just the quality of talent. I've seen some of the acts that are coming up. I'm not going to spoil anything, but it's the first episode. I think is going to set the tone for the season. And I was joking with one of my friends. They say, "So we don't know who the golden buzzers are." And I was like, "Hey, man, just wait for the last 5 minutes of the show. You don't know who they are."
Exactly right.
That's one thing they need to change. I will say that. That's one thing they need to change. Stop putting the golden buzzer at the end of the show because you know what it's going to be before they even perform.
Yeah,
I mean, even maybe the middle, maybe like not the first, maybe like the second half, but like maybe the third act of the second half.
I have been dying for them to have the first act of the season be the golden buzzer for years. The first one that comes out gets a golden buzzer. June 1, we're 6 minutes in, and half the people hadn't turned the TV on yet. They're like, "Wow, nothing happens at the beginning. It's just intro, anyways." And then gold. But I've been praying for. It's never going to happen. Okay.
Yeah. But Sophia actually hit her. Fun fact, for you guys who don't know, Sophia hit her golden buzzer the fourth act up last year.
Yeah, wow. So that was, we're kind of getting sidetracked a little bit, but that was one of my questions is how much do they, in editing, move these around?
Oh, 100%.
When you went, the one you went to, did they do were there like 3 golden buzzers in that one night that
you went? Did you get to see a golden buzzer?
I did. Doesn't sound as cool live.
Because there's no cool music, slow-mos. Yeah. Who was your golden buzzer you saw?
Slow-mos too later. But I mean, who was my golden buzzer? Oh gosh, what was the girl's name? I can't. That's how bad it was. Like, that's how
what
bad.
Season was this? What season was it?
It was 14? Heidi. Heidi hit it she sang some Kelly Clarkson song. Some girl. I had 2 of them. It was her.
We'll get IT on this.
That Michaela.
Yes, Michaela. I can't think of her last name.
Yeah, what is her last name?
Exactly.
Yeah. No,
one of them was her.
She's big now, though. She was on Idol the last maybe 2 years ago. She's buddies with Cody Lee.
Well, I'm thinking, how big are you if you're going to Idol? I mean,
yeah, she was like top 10. Michaela Phillips, that's her name.
Yes, there we go. That's who it was. Yes.
Okay. And then who was the other one?
The second one, someone I love. No, it was a choir. No, it was actually Tara's golden buzzer. It was Sand Artist. Can't you pronounce?
It was Champions.
Yes, Casanova.
Oh, yeah.
Sand Artist, which was Terry's best golden buzzer.
Ksenia.
Yes.
Yeah, she was awesome.
And seeing it to this day, watching it live and then seeing it on TV, because obviously they taped, Champions, obviously. But and I mean, fun fact: when you go, they make you sign stuff. You can't say anything. Well, you can't blah, blah blah, all that stuff. So there's that. So
Cross your fingers when you sign it. You probably can say whatever you want.
exactly. I was thinking, well, yeah. So no, but yeah. So you go there, and at first, I was seeing her act live is breathtaking. I mean, to watch her just work the way she works is amazing. She did the exact same, and not the exact same, because that's one thing I will say. I did not know who she was before seeing her.
Right.
And seeing her act the first time was amazing. She never does the same image twice. So seeing her do different images is so cool. So that, and I was thinking, oh, this at the time, I think, oh, this girl's gonna win. Like I've never seen anything like that anything like that. And she won in her country. I didn't even know. So that was really cool. So I mean, those are the two I saw. Again, Terry's best golden buzzer by far. So
Pretty easy to be the best golden buzzer
yes.
for him.
Cody, real quickly to answer your question. Yes, they do move the golden buzzers around. So Sophia hit her golden buzzer, was the first one to hit it the first day. And did we see that last year? No, we didn't last year. Howie hit his, obviously whenever the audience was away, we didn't, so no one knew if Howie would even get one. The order they went last year, from what I know, and I know this because obviously I get people talking to me because of what I do. It was Sophia, Simon, Heidi, and then Howie. Obviously, Howie was last, obviously because of COVID. But they did.
Was it last year Simon did 2? Or was it the year before?
Oh, that was champion. Simon stole Howie's.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yes.
He was supposed to be Howie's knight, and Simon just hit it instead because he wanted the stormtroopers to go through.
It's also
that's right. The
stormtroopers I've ever seen in my life.
Yeah, I'm not a big fan of the stormtrooper act.
Okay.
Cody, did you have something there?
Well, I was just kind of on top of that. I know we're kind of getting sidetracked from things, but I think
there's no real track we're on anyway.
I guess so. I think it was season 12. One thing I commented on the podcast was every golden buzzer, Mel B was wearing the same outfit. So so I didn't know.
The same day.
Yeah, people asked us, oh, did they just not change their clothes? No, they change their clothes. What they do though, they obviously, and I'm sure you guys know this as well, they film multiple episodes. They don't film just one episode in one day. It takes time. So they're going to go home. They're going to come back the next day. So you're seeing in one episode, I'll just use next week as an example. I mean, I don't know because we haven't seen the episode, but I mean, obviously if they film 4 days, 4 different days, and you see a bit of those 4 days in one episode, that's why they're changing clothes constantly.
Right.
And I mean, people who are like, oh, well, also like when you see The Voice, it doesn't matter what voice you're talking about, they keep the same clothes on because they don't want to lose that feel of, but also with The Voice, they do their entire auditions in a week. Their entire auditions is filmed in a week. So there's that.
Well, when you don't have to when all you have are singers and you're not bringing in props and setting up big contraptions or anything of that nature.
Exactly.
Okay, I want to do this. I want to do a little game here. Okay, I want you to construct your ideal judge panel and host. 4 judges and a host based off of everybody who's done it in the past or currently on America's Got Talent. Who you putting on the panel and who's your host?
All right, so Gabrielle Union is number 1. Just kidding.
Okay. We almost
strike 2, Stephen. I mean,
it was almost
strike 2.
That was almost the end of the podcast. So
my judges would have to be obviously Simon because he's the original me.
He's the judge.
He's the judge. I will say this. I'm interested to see what you guys have to say. So Simon, definitely, for sure. Howie, because he's been there long enough, might as well just keep him on. This is where it gets interesting. I will say Mel B.
Okay.
I like Mel. I like Heidi. Not the biggest fan of Heidi. I mean, I'm sure she's a nice person. I'm sure about that. And I also love Sophia, as you know, commenter. I love Sophia, but I will put Sophia in there. I will say my ideal panel would be Howie, Mel, Simon, and Sophia, and I will say my host would be Terry. I do believe Terry is probably one of the better hosts, better than Jerry Springer, better
Yeah.
than Regis, better than Tyra. So
Well, again, so me and Cody, when we do our rewatches, we have little segments, most rewatchable moment, best judge moment, and then we have the Tyra Banks Memorial Bad Hosting Moment Award. So, I mean, we are plugged into how bad
let me just
Tyra
say,
was.
okay, so no knock against Nick Cannon. Love Nick. Nick is probably one of the best.
You're gonna want to
hosts.
tread carefully here on this one.
No,
I don't know
Yes.
if you've seen
no,
my
no,
Twitter
Just-
avatar.
I will say this: Nick Cannon, one of my favorite hosts on TV. Period. No matter what show he's hosting Masked Singer right now. For goodness sake, one of my favorite hosts. But I will say, Terry and Nick are very similar in their hosting style. They're both very much people persons. They love interacting with the contestants. They're very much on the same kind of style. I just think Terry's a bit more funnier than Nick. I mean, they're both very good, capable hosts. They're very. I would just say, for me personally, I would love to see them both host together at one point. Something in the future maybe could be kind of cool. And I think Nick is the perfect host for The Masked Singer. I don't know if you guys watched that or not, but he is the perfect host for The Masked Singer. The way he interacts with the judges and the acts, whenever obviously they're in costumes, but he just knows that the good banter with it, kind of how he did with Talent. So he's the perfect host for The Masked Singer. Terry and Nick are my top two hosts, but I would edge out Terry a little bit just because I find him a little more funnier.
Okay. Yeah, I think Nick he's just a more laid back personality. Terry is very cheesy, and not necessarily even in a bad way, but he's just a cheesier guy. Yeah. If I were to, Cody, we'll have you do it too. I would go Simon and Howie. I actually am going to agree on the Mel B. I really, really like Mel B because she was a singer, so she has some good insight on that. And then I would say Howard Stern. I really like Howard as a judge. Some people didn't. And then to me, Nick, clearly, if I was to be able to sub somebody in who has not been a judge, but that I'd want, Guy Fieri would be on my panel. But since he hasn't judged before, he can't be on there. Cody, what would your lineup be?
I think I would go with the same lineup you have, except I would have Piers instead of Mel B.
Okay, you'd go the full male.
Yes, I'd go full male. I'd have the two sassy British, and then Howard and Howie. So,
gotcha. Yeah. Okay. So we got that taken care of. We talked about how it seems like we're kind of coming on the downhill side, whether it's talent ratings, which isn't exclusive to America's Got Talent in terms of ratings. Television has taken a beating the last however many years. How long do you think this show, in terms of seasons, can go? Obviously, we have 16 coming up. I mean, are we going to see a season 20, do you think?
Yeah, I do. And the reason I say that is because I'm not trying to be rude, but there's nothing on in the summer. There's nothing to watch at the summer. I mean,
Brother, you watch Big Brother.
Yeah, trust me, I'm going to be watching that too.
Yeah.
So, I mean, unless you're watching Big Brother or, sports, there's nothing really to watch. I will say this. This is the reason why I think it's going to continue. Obviously, we talked about Talent having 15, 20 million when it first started. Then it went down to like maybe 12, 10, 9, 8, and now we're at like 7, 6, 7 right now. Mm-hmm. So obviously it's gone down. And that's, again, Big Brother, same way. Big Brother started high. Now it's like the 4 millions or whatever. CBS renewed Love Island, and it's getting 1 million viewers. I will say that NBC constantly renewed World of Dance. It's been canceled now, but they constantly renew World of Dance, and World of Dance was the 2 seasons it was renewed after season 1. It got 4 million viewers and 3 million viewers. So unless Talent sinks all the way low to 2-3 million, I can see it being. I don't see that happening for a while. And considering there was no champions this year, I think the ratings will be a little more higher ratings because there's not that
saturation.
Exactly. There's not that oversaturation of the show. Thank you for that. There's not that oversaturation of the show, and there's not that overkill. Obviously, it's not the same country, but I did watch Big Brother, or did watch Big Brother UK when it aired. They had a celebrity Big Brother airing in January. They had the regular Big Brother air in a 2-month version of Big Brother airing in June, all the way going to August. And the ratings were high, then they went low because it's overkill. And I think that's what you saw with ever since Champions aired, you saw those ratings go down a little bit. So I think because you're having no champions this year because of COVID, and I'm honestly, I'll be surprised if you get champions again, honestly. Spoiler alert on that.
Yeah.
But because of that,
Me and Cody conjectured about that. Were they always planning to continue to do it? Because if they were, why did they structure season 1 with all of the greatest acts of all time
I will
and then
say
have
this.
none left over for the rest of the seasons?
I will say this: in the UK, they construct it as a one-off special,
Right.
and that's what it was meant to be. Simon said NBC. He went to NBC and presented Champions. Obviously, we aired Champions first here in America, just like they did. That's how he did the original AGT. He aired it first here, then it went to the UK. Kind of the same concept. NBC said, well, "Look, if it rates well, let's keep bringing it back."
Right.
Well, obviously, no one knew COVID was going to happen at that time,
Sure.
but I think Simon intended for it to be a one-off thing. That's why you saw the best of the best acts in that first season.
I mean, it was 50 just absolute powerhouses, and then the next year it was like 6 that were good.
Yeah, and the second season was a major drop-off. I mean, I will say V Unbeatable got the win they deserved. I will say. That's the only reason why I'm happy there was a season 2. But I will say that's the reason why you're not seeing those powerhouse 8-9 million ratings, because it was oversaturation of the show. So there is no champions. I would be very surprised. I don't know. I'm not an NBC executive, but I would be very surprised if they brought champions back again. They are bringing another show in, which we'll talk about in a minute. But
let's do it now. So you're saying that killed ratings. Yeah, so that killed rating. Well, then why on earth would they do this AGT Extreme? And what is? Did they do this in Britain?
No.
Someone said they. Okay.
No,
was it you, Cody?
So I think what we talked about last week was that they did something similar to this in Britain, but while I'm watching season 10, they actually already did this in season 10. There was an audition segment, I think in episode 4, that they named AGT Extreme. And it was extreme acts where they were outdoors. There was a guy that skydived. There was a guy that did some tricks on a jet ski. There was a guy that rammed a bus into another bus. So they've already done something very similar to this in an episode during season 10, and it was hashtag AGT Extreme.
Well, let me just say this, guys. I don't think, to my knowledge, they've done a full season in the UK like this.
Okay.
Now, what I will say is, I feel this is a knockoff of TBS's show with Snoop Dogg. I can't name it.
The Go Big show. Yes.
Go Big show. Yeah. I feel like it's a knockoff. Simon sees, okay, well, this is being successful for TBS. Let's make it on one of the big 4 networks, NBC. The reason why they're doing this is because there's shows that are still right now in production because of COVID. And there's shows who are delayed because of COVID. I don't know if you guys watch, not to get off topic, but I don't know if you guys watch Lucifer on Netflix, which was canceled by Fox. They brought it over to Netflix. Great show. If you guys haven't seen it, or if people who are listening or watching, if you haven't seen it, go watch it. It's a great show. But they stopped production because of COVID. So they had no episodes. So Netflix basically left season 5 like in a standstill, because in a cliffhanger, for like almost, or I'm sorry, not season 5, season 4, in a cliffhanger, because nothing was going on. Like, because there was no filming. You can't have a show without filming. So that's what you're seeing now with a lot of these shows on NBC, and not just NBC, but all these other stations, where there's no production happening. So you need something to fill those spots. And that's why I think they're bringing this Extreme AGT, or AGT Extreme, however you want to word it. And yes, I will be covering that. So that's exciting. But I mean, that's another reason I'm excited to see that. Well, what we do know about it is this: Simon's obviously going to be a judge. He's going to be producing it. We don't know if I'm going to call her Sophia, Howie, and Heidi will be joining on the panel. I would be surprised if they didn't, because I don't think they got anything else going on at the moment. So I'll be very surprised.
We thought they should have like David Blaine and Chris Angel be the other 2. And just go full blown that way.
Honestly, I wouldn't mind seeing some danger acts, either from AGT past or just very successful danger acts.
Tony Hawk, I think we said too, which I think would actually be like a good option too.
Yeah, it'd be kind of cool. But I will say, I'm interested. I mean, AGT is NBC's biggest show. It is their biggest show of the summer. It is their biggest show, number 1 show of the summer every year. They're trying to capitalize on that. My fear is they're going to oversaturate the show again, and the ratings are going to go down, and things like that. But I will say this: quality over quantity. If the quality is there, and you're bringing some really, really, really good danger acts, like that you can't pick, like, oh, this guy is good, but this guy's really good too. Like, I don't know what I want, and I'll take that. But if you're going to make this a yearly thing like Champions, don't do that. Make it a one-off special. Bring the best of the best danger acts that AGT has had over the past 16 seasons. Put them on one show or however many weeks it's going to be, and see who the best danger act of American Got Talent is, and leave it at that. Don't oversaturate it, because that's what's going to kill the show. That's what we saw with Big Brother when they had Celebrity Big Brother here in America for
OTT.
2 seasons. Oh gosh, for 2 seasons. And the ratings for the regular summer edition went down to like 3 million, which again, Love Island's getting 1 million, so they keep renewing it. So I mean, that's what I'm saying. So you don't want to oversaturate your shows, and I feel like these big wigs and all these networks see the shows being very successful, the original shows, and want to do these spin-offs, and that's how you kill your original show.
Right.
Yeah, so let's kind of look at how this format may work, because if you've got AGT proper on throughout the summer, you're going to have 2 weeks off for Olympics. They're not going to air it during the Olympics because they're going to be showing Olympics. So when is this type of show going to be airing? Is it going to air on a Monday night, on a Thursday night?
I've heard 2 things. I've heard it could air sometime in like the second half of fall, or it could air sometime in January. And I think if they're going off
after the season.
Correct. After
because we keep reading summertime.
I don't even think
we keep reading like midsummer, like it's a midsummer thing.
Yeah, so that would make me think the 4 judges plus Terry would be your judges, unless Simon's doing secret deals on the side, which again, totally could see him doing that because he's Simon, of who he wants to, have on the panel. So, I mean, we've seen situations where they film, when they filmed Champions, they filmed it in October and aired it in January. And they brought the same panel back. Obviously, Alicia came in season 2 for Champions, but I mean, they mostly had the same panel, but Alicia, and then they've had the same panel for the first season. So they could easily film it in October, air it in, film it sometime around October time, air it in January, or they could go straight into it from the current season into the other second half of the season. So I'm just how they're going to do it.
Could they take some of these extreme acts from auditions and just tell these acts, hey, look, we're gonna take your performance and shift it to this spin-off thing that we're doing. They've already recorded these, but maybe then just tell the act, hey, we're gonna shift you to this fall spin-off that we're doing.
I don't think so. I think NBC is viewing it as 2 separate shows. So kind of how they did Champions. They viewed AGT Champions as a separate show from AGT regular. And I'm calling it AGT regular. How funny.
Yeah.
But I mean, so I'm saying that's what I think they're doing. I think they're viewing this extreme thing as a separate show. So the way they're making it sound, from the press release I got from NBC, they're making it sound like it's the best of the best that they've had over the years. So that could include the Ryan Stock. That could include Professor Splash, who I'm hoping both come back.
Deadly Games,
who I think was robbed. We can go talk about this all the time. I mean,
the best season ever. They didn't even make the finals. That's how good season 11 was.
Exactly. So I mean, I'm saying this: if Deadly Games is not on the season, it's a travesty. They shouldn't even air it. But I mean, that's what I think. We'll see. Well, I'm interested to see how the format's going to work. I mean, it's going to be interesting, and also if it's going to be live or pre-taped. If it's going to be pre-taped, like we saw with Champions. I know you guys don't like spoilers, so there were spoilers out there for Champions of who second place, third place, whatever. So there were spoilers. Here's the thing: if you don't want to find spoilers, don't go on the internet and look for them, or go look on Twitter when the show is airing live or something. There are ways to avoid spoilers, but there's also ways if you want to find them, you can. If you don't have to look too hard to find them. So I'm interested if they're going to do the pre-taped route. You will know exactly what's going to happen. Kind of like you're seeing in Big Brother Australia. They taped the entire season of Big Brother Australia already. So I can tell you, every person who got evicted, everyone who's nominated, everything, because they pre-taped it all. So, and that's not fun as a viewer to watch, to know. So it's all these type of things, all these different scenarios that go into it.
Right. I want to go back to the kind of the longevity of the show. When you're talking ratings, you talk about Love Island, 1 million viewers or whatever it is. How much of them keeping that around though is because they're getting a ton of people who are going to watch it after it's on a Hulu or a Netflix, wherever it ends up ending up, where NBC still has the rights. It's still NBC's show, and they're just getting the money from. It's a huge stream show or something. Whereas when me and Cody talked about AGT, the one thing I thought why it had maybe a lifespan that wasn't as long was because it's not a streamable show, and that the whole allure of it, at least from a totality of the season, is you get to vote live and the live part of it and all of that. how much of streaming is going to, we've already seen streaming just cut into live TV as it is anyways.
Yeah.
Is that why you see a show like 1 million viewer Love Island, but it's big on streaming? Is that why they're keeping it around?
Yeah, if you're talking specifically about Love Island, then yes, I would say that. But not just even for that. I mean, you're getting, guys, a lot of these TV shows now to where you don't need to watch it on your TV.
Right.
You can watch it on your iPad, and you
Right.
can watch it live, and you don't have to be near a TV per se. Or let's say, you know, I'm with my kids or I'm with my wife or, you know, whatever, and I'm not married, by the way, but as an example, like you're doing this or whatever, you don't have time to watch TV at this time because I'm busy doing something else.
Right.
Well, that's the beauty of streaming. You can watch it on your own convenience. And I think that's where a lot of these TV ratings, the way they do it now is kind of messed up. And I say that because there's no one way to do TV, live TV ratings versus streaming. And they do count streaming live 7-day delayed broadcasts into their ratings later.
Okay.
So AGT actually gained, I think, 2 million viewers onto their premiere last year because of that Hulu and things like that.
Yeah.
So whenever you add that in, instead of having it, I don't have the numbers in front of me. Let's just say last year's premiere had 6 million. Add the 2 million in from Hulu, that's 8 million. So I mean, you're getting more people watching than you think on the overnight ratings because you're counting in that Hulu aspect. And so that's why his rating's so high, and they keep bringing it back because people are watching. Now, if only 500,000 watched on Hulu and like it got like 2 million viewers, it's not really, is it worth bringing back? Then you can have a discussion about it. But the fact that they're still rating well, it's still trending. I mean, the show's trending on Twitter every summer. There are acts are trending on Twitter every summer. You know, there's an interest for this show. So as much as I don't like Love Island, as much as I don't understand the concept of it, it rates well. It does. And there are people who can say the same thing about Big Brother. Oh, you like Big Brother? Yes. Well, I don't like it. Okay, that's cool. But it rates well. There's shows out there that rate well, and we're going on 15, 16, 20 seasons.
Bachelor.
That one I was thinking of exactly.
I'm a Bachelor. I'm a killer.
That,
I'm
and also
a sucker for the
Grey's
franchise.
Anatomy is going on like what, season 20 or something like that. So
if you haven't watched it and you're planning on, stop at 11. You don't need to watch after that.
Yeah. I think it was what Young and the Restless. One of the soap operas was just renewed for like their 50th season or something.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So,
and all the characters have died and come back to life on those shows multiple times on the soap opera shows.
I used to watch AGT for several seasons. I watched AGT on Hulu and I watched it the next day. And I feel like I'm getting a better experience now because I can do the social media. I can do the live tweeting. I can vote afterwards. You know, voting's closed by the time I watch it the next morning. So I think watching it live, you get a much richer experience than watching it on delay. But you know, obviously not everyone can do that. So
on the voting thing, obviously you're more plugged into kind of the how the sausage is made than we are. Do you have any idea of how many votes like come in for, say, a finals? What's the total? Do you have any hunch or any idea of how many total votes get sent in for, say, like a finals?
I'm going to do a Ryan Seacrest in the nationwide vote. I'm just kidding. No, but I mean, if you notice, American Idol, just we're talking about voting in general, American Idol, Ryan stopped saying after the nationwide vote of nearly blah, blah, blah million, because, well, let's be real. Do you really think 100 million people voted in American Idol finale? More people voted in American Idol finale than they voted in the actual election? Come on. Let's be real about this. I mean, come on.
So the thing is it's not so much people, it's total votes, because you can vote 10 times or whatever it is.
Exactly, yeah. But come on, some of those I think are a little exaggerated whenever they would do it on Idol. But I mean, no, to answer the answer, I don't know if it's 800 million votes or 10 million votes or 2 million. I don't know. But I do know that whenever they do, like Terry does, I think it's no particular order, and he does the acts and things like that, he announces them. I mean, those you just know who's at the bottom when he groups them like that.
Right. Yeah.
Okay, so that's the one thing I would change. If I'm NBC and I'm the producer of talent, if I'm Simon Cowell, because it's his show, I would tell Terry, hey, you know what? Maybe just announce the acts. You know, this is the act that's in first place, or this is the act that went through. Because when you group them like that, it just makes it so unsuspenseful because you know who's going through. You especially if you know this guy. Let's say oh, Professor Splash sucked the night before. He completely bombed, but yet you got Danilia who really did really, really well. You know she's making it over him. I mean,
Right.
it'd be better if you just had Terry just announce the act of who went through, or if it's, none of your, this group is not, none of you are going through, but this group, only two of you are going to go through. And he doesn't say which one it is. He just announces it. So I think that would work better from a viewer perspective, more suspense. But when you group them like that, you know who's going to go through. So as far as voting goes, no, I don't know who has, how the votes go like that.
What is your take on the and this is one of our favorite things, the neither of you are going through?
Yeah,
I like it.
Oh yeah, I have long stumped for more cruelty in the elimination process on America's Got Talent. It's far too nice. Just start sending them away. Laugh tracks behind it after they get all that kind of stuff. Would you, Cody? I know you love season 1 elimination process in the finals.
Yeah, well, the number, I was getting ready to ask about season 2 as well. Yes.
Okay. So, Steve, are you at all familiar with how they announced the winner? Well, I should say how they announced the first and second runners up in season 1. Do you recall this at all?
Honestly, no.
Okay. So here's how it went. They announced, it's so hard to explain. I
have to go watch that actually.
Yeah,
listen to our recap. Listen to our recap.
Yeah. And it is on our Instagram page too, or my Instagram page. So you can find it there. So basically what they did was they brought 2 acts forward and said one of these acts won. And then they're like, who is it? And then Regis just goes, neither of you. And then everybody's like, oh, okay. They're both runners up. That's what he said. And then they just left. And then they're like, Bianca wins. And that was how they did it. Any thoughts on maybe going back to that sort of idea?
See,
telling 2 acts that one of them is going to win, and then just
Regis.
Sight. R.I.P. Regis.
Rest in peace, Regis. Pouring up for the big guy. So let me say this. That was. I have to. I'm okay. Here's the thing. When I'm done taping this, I'm gonna go and watch that because that sounds so funny. But I mean, terrific. I wouldn't mind them going back. I could see Terry Crews up there, the axe next to him. One of you won. Well, clearly.
Neither of you. Okay, how about
it's none of you?
How about the Tyra Banks idea of announcing an elimination as if they went through, like she did with Michael Ketterer? So it was bad, but looking back on it, I actually kind of liked it. That's cruel. That's a cruel elimination. Being like 4th place and being super pumped, and he's like, that was Cody. Season 2. What is from season 2 that you like?
So. Well, the semifinals, I think maybe even the finals, the way they did the finals was, they had the top 12 acts, and then they would announce the act, and then the act would go perform. And then they would announce, hey, okay, here's the next act going through, and then they would perform. So they would weed that down. The top 10 would then perform out of the top 12 that are up on the stage. And then they did the same thing with the top 6. So there'd be, so then there'd be 10 acts. Top 4, then there would be 10 acts up on the stage, and then they would call, hey, okay, here's the first act going through, and then they would go perform. So I think that would be an interesting format to go back to, is you bring all the acts back, and instead of saying, okay, which one's going through, you announce them one at a time and they perform.
Yeah, I mean, I'm honest. I'm all for. I agree with you, commenter. More cruelty in the elimination part of it, because I will say this. Not just even in the elimination part of it, in the actual audition part of it. Simon, I think, has gotten more nicer. And there's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with that. He has a son, and I mean, ever since I think having a son has mellowed him out. And I will say, I understand, because I'm pretty sure he wouldn't want anyone to tell his son what he would be telling an act, obviously.
Right.
But I will say, there are some acts where, let's just be real, they suck. But you have the judge, you can make it if you tried this, blah, blah. I'm thinking, no, if that was me and I was judging, but look, I'm sorry, you're horrible. Like,
Right.
don't quit your day job if you're a mailman or whatever your day job is. Don't quit your day job to be a juggler if you can't juggle. Okay, like don't. There's some people who are just not cut out for talent and or who think you're talented and they're not. And the judges are trying to be nice and let them off. Let them down easy. Don't do that. For entertainment purposes, at least for me watching the show, don't do that. Like if you're being paid millions of dollars to judge them, judge them. Like if you're horrible, tell them they're horrible, or maybe not to that extreme, but just if they don't tell them and give them hope if they're good when they're really not. I will say that. Like I will say, obviously Sophia was the main point last year because she was a new judge. She had a whole segment where she was like, hitting the buzzer and I mean they made it fun and funny and things like that. But it was kind of refreshing to see, someone just say like, is that a toilet plunger? What the hell is that? Like, I mean, to be, a little blunt with it. Do I expect the same thing from her this year? Honestly, I hope so, because that her bluntness was something I actually enjoyed and I was not expecting. Now, is she the best judge the show has ever had? No, she's not. But I mean, she is fun. She makes the show fun. I think it was an element that was missing when Gabrielle Union was there. I think Gabrielle brought the show down entirely. Julianne was okay. I will say she wasn't the best judge, but I mean she was okay, and she was a dancer, so she had that aspect to her of she could judge that. But I mean Gabrielle just brought the entire show down. So going from Gabrielle to Sophia is going from like salt and vinegar chips on a drunken night to a nice ice cream sundae that you can enjoy on a nice hot summer day. So I mean it's a little bit of a different aspect there.
For sure. I think season 16, we're closing in on it. Is there anything else you want to inform the people on of things we can look forward to that you know of, and maybe just sort of your, maybe, I don't know, predictions or what you're sort of anticipating we're going to see this summer?
Well, I will say, I'm not going to spoil any acts for you guys, but I'm just saying, if you can do the splits, just watch. I'm not sure if it's the premiere or the week after, but just watch an act that can do the splits. And any guy out there, and you two gentlemen would know this, it hurts if a guy has to do the splits. So just watch for that. So I will just leave that there. You guys will know when you see it. Trust me. You will know when you see it, because it hurt me to see it, or to see the what I saw from it. It hurt to me, and I was just sitting down and watching that hurt. But I mean, there's some good danger acts. There's some good. It just has a good fun feel to it. Last year we talked about. I know Commenter, I talked with you about this on Twitter, about the judges' chemistry, the judging panel chemistry. You and I felt going back, I think you and I have been talking to AGT for a long time, you and me.
A couple years now, yeah.
Yeah, so going back to like the Gabrielle Union type thing, we felt there was no chemistry between those judges. No. Last year, I felt like obviously Sophia, bringing Heidi back, as much as people flack her for her hate on comedians, the chemistry between her and Howie's there. The chemistry between her and Simon is there. Bringing Sophia into that panel, it was a little work in progress, I will say, a little bit.
It hurt that we lost Simon in the live shows.
Yes, it also lost Simon in the live shows.
We've always had the head judge that's kind of in charge, and it was Piers originally, then it was Howard, and then it was Simon, and then we just didn't have it last year, and it took multiple episodes for them to kind of figure out how to run that.
And it felt like he was coaching her. If you remember one episode, there was a singer and he just said, just close your eyes and just listen. Yes. So he was coaching her on how to actually judge the performances.
Yes. And if you notice, ever since then, she's actually gotten better at judging, particularly singers. So while, like I said, is Sophia the best judge the show has ever had? No. But I mean, she's a decent judge, and she's an upgrade over Gabrielle Union. But I will say the judges' chemistry this year is much better than what it was last year. They're just having more fun together.
Good.
Obviously, losing Simon in the live shows, obviously he broke his back, and I'm thankful that he is back on the show, and he's looks to be healthy. Good for him. And I think him being back and all that will be good. You're seeing the judges have more fun. They're more playful with each other. They're actually, they do pie each other in the face. That's not a spoiler because it is in the promos. They do pie each other, and they're all covered with pie and stuff. So they're just having more fun. The acts are more fun this year. They're obviously, it is very competitive because it's competition at the end of the day. But I mean, the acts are more fun. And let's be real, this is America's Got Talent. You're going to have a sob story.
Right.
I am hoping there's not too many sob stories. Again, I don't know this, but I mean, you're going to have a sob story. It's talent, for God's sakes. But I'm hoping there's not a sob story of COVID. It's not going to be that big COVID season of, oh, I survived COVID or my grandma survived COVID. I mean, if they did, that's great. I mean, everybody went through hell this past year, but I don't want this to be the COVID season of AGT. I mean, even because how we said it in the promos, like we've all been locked away for a year. You've all been for a year to show and to harness your craft, to make your craft better, to make your talent better. Show us what you can do. And I think that's what you're going to see this year. You're going to see much better talent, upgraded talent. You know, we talk about the danger, AGT Extreme. We talk about it's going to be a good season for talent, and I think it's going to be an upgrade over the past 2 seasons, particularly. And I'm excited to cover it. I will be tagging you guys in the articles I write, so feel free to retweet those and share those as well. It's going to be a good season, I think.
Good.
Cody, you have anything else?
I don't have anything else on AGT, but I'd like to kind of shift gears for a moment if you don't have any other AGT stuff.
No, go for it.
Yeah, I'd like to kind of
talk about.
Yeah, so we got, maybe 10 minutes or so left, 15 minutes we can talk. But I want to kind of shift gears to basketball for a minute. I teased it in the tweet, but I kind of just want to talk about this. I'm a lifelong Mavs fan. I grew up in Texas. So I was just curious. I don't get to see them very often where I live now. Okay. How good is Luka?
Well,
is he the next Dirk?
If you want to follow my sports account, you're more than welcome to. Okay. Here's a plug. The Stephan A on Twitter for sports. If you guys want to follow me for that. But here's the thing, for real. Luka is the real deal. Luka Doncic. I literally just go, Luka, whenever he makes a shot, because the guy is for real. The guy is legit a superstar. He's in the making, has the makings of all to be. I'm not even going to call him the next Dirk, because Dirk is in a category of his own. But Luka is very, very, very times 10, very special. The guy basically beat the Clippers on opening night, or on the opening day of the playoffs, by himself. I mean, he's very unguardable. He's a very good guard, and also he's very unselfish. He knows when he's hot, and he knows, okay, well, I'm attracting the attention. Let me pass it out to my teammates, and that's what makes a very good player. So, am I picking the Mavericks to win a championship? Probably not. But I will say, I do think the Mavericks could possibly upset the Clippers. I do see that happening. I think it's a possibility. I kind of honestly want to see that, because I feel Luka deserves that. I mean, Luka has had his time to where he had the growing pains the first season. He's had some issues going on, adjusting to how Americans or in the NBA play basketball. Obviously, is different from overseas. So the guy is going to be very special. And I mean, you guys in Dallas, Maverick fans up there, you guys got a very, very, very good player. As a Spurs fan, I am very disheartened, because obviously Greg Popovich and the San Antonio Spurs have had not the best past couple of seasons, but to be fair, they've had a very good run of 20 plus years in the playoffs, championships, and things like that. So, I mean, good for them. And I mean, I do cover the Spurs on the side here, so where I live. So again, if you, Cody and Commenter, if you guys want to follow me on that account, you're more than welcome to. And so any more sports questions for me?
I think the one I have, what comes first? Does Pop cut his hair, or does he retire first? Which one comes first?
I think first, I think Team USA wins the gold medal. That's what I think.
Okay.
Because I mean, regardless if you're a fan of Pop or a fan of whatever coach is coaching, I mean, country first. So I mean, Team USA, I'm hoping they win the gold medal. I do believe Pop. Again, this is just from working in the sports scene. From what I have heard that Pop is going to retire after the Olympics if they get the gold medal. I do believe they are going to get the gold medal. So I do believe we'll have a retirement announcement from Pop or from the Spurs about Pop, probably sometime in August or September. I do believe they have their next coach lined up already, more than likely. I don't think Pop is that type of guy.
Is it going to be Becky?
I think it'll be Becky.
That makes
if
sense.
It is Becky, okay, this is what I'm saying. I've talked with my colleagues. and it should be Becky
Mhm.
because she's been there the longest. I mean, I believe they hired her for a reason, not just to be the first woman head coach, but I mean
Mhm.
to break that barrier, but also to give her the chance. And I mean,
Mhm.
she's interviewed in Milwaukee, she's interviewed for colleges, she's even offered jobs to coach men's college basketball, but she's turned them down because she wants to coach
Mhm.
in the NBA. I believe the
Yeah.
Spurs are that team to give her that chance.
Mhm.
That's what I think. The reason why I think that it may not happen is because obviously she's a woman, and not saying that that's the reason why it's not going to happen, but I think because obviously with a woman comes that scrutiny of, oh, you can't coach men.
Mhm.
They wouldn't want her to fail. And I
Right.
think with the Spurs, the way they're constructed right now, they're not ready for the playoffs. They're not, they're maybe a year or two away from that moment. So
Mhm.
they could do what the Spurs did, or sorry, what other teams have done. For example, Brett Brown, whenever he went to Philadelphia, they gave him a roster that was kind of crappy, and but they
Yeah.
let him do his system, that system, and it worked, and he got Philadelphia to the playoffs in 3 or 4, or I think it was 3 or 4 years. So by my point,
Mhm.
they gave him a leash and they gave him the time to do that. I think
Right.
if the Spurs want to do that with Becky, they probably will and give her that time. Now, am I
Mhm.
saying, oh, Becky's going to come in and win a championship first year? No, but they should give her that chance of 2, 3 years to see what she can do and develop this core, because this core is already developed by Pop. Now she can take the reins here and develop them in her vision, but and kind of going off of what Pop has already done, because they have a good core of a good young core.
Mhm.
Going off of will DeMar DeRozan leave? I think DeMar DeRozan will leave the Spurs. Things like that. So it's going to be interesting to see. But Pop probably gets a haircut when he retires, probably.
Okay. All right. So they run together, those two things.
Exactly.
Okay. My last thing, quick
Yeah,
prediction: who wins it this year? You think?
the NBA Finals.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Um, I know the sexy pick is Brooklyn. I know it is the
Mhm.
sexy pick. Um, I'm still yet to see them dominate like they should, considering who they have on their roster.
Right.
I don't see. I do. I could if Milwaukee can hit threes like they did last night, I could see Milwaukee easily going to the finals by far.
Right.
But who wins it all? I'm thinking either Brooklyn or possibly Phoenix. I think
Okay.
Phoenix should be a dark horse. Phoenix is a very young team as well. They got led by Chris Paul. They got some good veterans there. Utah is good, but I think they've got the Donovan Mitchell injury is a question mark to me.
Mhm.
And if he's not fully 100% healthy, I think Phoenix
Yeah.
beats Utah and goes to the finals. And I could see Brooklyn or Phoenix winning it. If you're going to make me pick, so I'm gonna say Brooklyn just to make that sexy
Okay.
pick, but we'll see.
Yeah. Yeah. That's. I don't think anything wrong with that pick. Makes a lot of sense. Cody, you got anything else?
No, I think that this was great. Thanks for coming on,
Yeah.
Stephen.
No
You
problem.
have what do you have to plug? You plugged your Twitter account. What the other Twitter accounts you have, or and then kind of
Yes, if you guys want
what
to
you want
follow
people to
me,
check out?
yeah, if you guys want to follow me for any TV news from the UK, US, Canada, Australia, anywhere else, so you guys follow me on Stephen TV underscore. That's Stephen with a PH. So STEPHEN TV underscore. I will be again covering America's Got Talent, Big Brother US, Big Brother Australia currently right now, all these type of shows. So more than welcome to chat with you guys, talk with you guys. We always be posting my opinions on all these shows, and I'm sure guys, you and I are going to have differing opinions on acts this season. But again, that's what makes all these shows
Yes.
so fun to talk about, and
Yep.
so fun to work with you guys and talk with you guys about it, because it just makes it so fun to watch. Again, thank you for having me, and I look forward to being hopefully back on in the future to talk more
Yeah,
AGT hopefully during
absolutely.
the season if we got that 2 week Olympic break. So
for sure.
Absolutely. Yeah. I mention all the time that I love doing this because there's people that have so many difference of opinions about who should be the best. We talk about a guy, AGT District, who's a huge Kenichi fan and declares that Kenichi's the goat of AGT. So it's great that there's people out there that have those strong feelings about their favorite acts and will defend it, and that's great. And I love
Mhm.
having those conversations.
oh yeah, for sure, for sure. And I mean, like I said, guys, don't be shy. Tweet me during the show. Tweet me during. You can DM me. Both of you guys can
Mhm.
always DM me, and I know commentary. You always DM me as well. So yeah,
Yeah.
definitely feel free to retweet, tweet me, talk about the show. More than welcome to. I'm excited for it to see next week. A week from today, we'll be 30 minutes away from the end of the first episode. So I'm very excited to see how the season goes. And again, thank you guys for having me on.
Great.
Awesome.
So just kind of recap, you can reach us on Twitter. We're on there at AGT Pod. We do have an Instagram, still working on kind of getting that out there, but it's there. We're on Facebook as well, AGT Pod on Facebook. Our email, agtpod@gmail.com. Commenter again is on all the social medias at AGT Commenter. So hit us up. Season 16 right around the corner. Just a reminder, we also have, as we mentioned, a Kenichi podcast coming out on Friday. So that'll be on the 28th, our rewatchable of Kenichi Abina. So can't wait for that to come out. And then the following Thursday, Jay and I will be back to recap auditions 1 of is it just one show next week, Stephen?
What do you mean?
Tuesday night?
Yeah.
Is it just Tuesday night?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So we'll be back on Thursday night to recap Tuesday night's episode, auditions 1. So thanks, Stephen, everyone. Thanks, commenter. Good questions, great conversations. Everyone have a great night. Bye.
Thanks.